Good morning, everyone. My name is Stacy, and as Jennifer said, I'm from Options for Independent Living, and I also have my workmate Kelvin here virtually with us. And Kelvin is our AT person or assistive technology specialist at Options for Independent Living. Just to give you a little bit of background on Options, just real quick, we are an independent living center. Throughout the state, there are, and Calvin will need to correct me, there are 8 other centers. And so every county in the state is covered. We do similar things, but a little bit different. But we are the county or the agency that covers Door County. Because we are an independent living center, we are a community service agency. So just so you know, if you talk about or if you hear about any of the services that I have to offer today, our services are free. We do work under grants and donations throughout the community. So there are no fees back to anybody that we serve. At the same time, we do have a special grant from the Cop Seeker Foundation that covers Door County and helping people to get connected with assistive technology. And that is the whole point of the Cop Seeker grant, is really helping to keep people connected through assistive technology or other means. And assistive technology doesn't always mean a big technical device. It can be a piece of paper. So I often look at my communication lanyards and I think of this as assistive technology. The other great thing about this is if you would see something that today that you're like, ooh, that's kind of interesting, but it's kind of intimidating, we would help you throughout that entire process. So if you have questions, more in-depth questions about it, we can definitely obviously have a conversation with you. We can meet virtually or over the phone. Unfortunately, at this time, due to the coronavirus, we are not meeting face to face, but we are doing a lot of virtual visits like today and things of that nature. Also, too, we can help train you and help you to get feeling comfortable with those items if you think, it's going to bring benefit to you or to, your loved one and help you stay more connected and things. So with that, at any point in time, please feel free to ask questions. If you don't feel comfortable speaking up, please use the chat box, and Jennifer will letting me know that there's a question in the chat box. Otherwise, feel free to unmute yourself and then just ask questions as needed. I always, whenever I do any of my presentations, I always like them to be very interactive and a lot of questions. So please don't hesitate. Or also too, if you have a comment, if you know someone who's maybe used a product or a product similar or something, anything, feel free. This is what it's all about, is collaboratively learning and working together. So with that being said, one of the big things we're hearing about today in today's world is video phone calling. And people sometimes are like, well, what is video phone calling? What is FaceTiming? What is Skype? Are they different? What really are they? And video phone calling is the umbrella term, just like how we use Kleenex sometimes gets used instead of facial tissue or whatever. Facial tissue would be the big umbrella term, and then Kleenex and all the different other brands that provide facial tissues would be kind of what video phone calling is. Video phone calling is the big umbrella term. And then you've got FaceTiming, you've got Skype, you've got Zoom, we've got WebEx. We've got all the different platforms in which you can do video phone calling. Video phone calling it's a wonderful way to stay connected with your loved ones. I will say that my mom right now is down in Florida, and we already have for Thanksgiving a planned time that we're all going to sit down together we have the ability to FaceTime through Apple products, and I'll get further into that in a second. But we're all going to sit down for Thanksgiving together at the same time, and we're all going to be FaceTiming together. I have got 4 brothers and sisters, so we're all going to do our virtual Thanksgiving dinner together that way. So we don't feel like we're so alone and we can't be with each other during this whole coronavirus time. So there are, there are a lot of benefits. The other thing with my mom being down in Florida, she does have grandkids who are very involved. We have, my daughter plays softball, and we've got another one who's huge into soccer, and we have another one who's a beautiful, beautiful musician and singer. And she's a lot of times, sad because she's down in Florida that she's missing out on some of these events. So what we do for her is she sits with her iPad, and so she's in Florida with her iPad, and we hold up the phone at the event, and as my daughter's up to bat or whatever it may be, she's watching it virtually on the screen, and she can feel like she's connected to those events as well. And so there's a lot of benefit to that. The thing of it is, well, how do we do it? And what different platforms can we do? And how do I know which one's the right for me? Should I be FaceTiming? Should I be using an Echo Show? Do I need to purchase a device? Can I just use my computer that I have at home? And those are all things that at Options, we can help you figure those things out. But just to give you a little bit here, and Calvin will probably pipe in with me as well. FaceTiming, if you've heard the term FaceTiming is done by Apple. So Apple they are the ones, if you have an Apple product, an iPhone, an iPad, FaceTiming is from one Apple product to another. If the person you want to video phone call does not have an Apple product, you could not use FaceTime, just so you know. And FaceTiming is free. You do need to either need to have data or be hooked up to the internet. If you're hooked up to the internet, it does not take anything away from your data plans or anything of that nature. And it is totally free. You would just use the FaceTime app on your phone, which would be this one right there. Now, let's say you have an Android tablet, or you have an Android phone, a Samsung Galaxy, something of that nature, an LG phone, or a Kindle Fire tablet. There are other apps and things that you can use. You can use Google Meets, you can use Skype, and you would create the account, and then you're able to talk to those persons. Or if you have an Android tablet yourself, but a loved one has an Apple product, you're able to use Skype or Google Meets or some other platforms that would go between the two different products. Okay? And it's just really a lot of fun to be able to do that video phone calling. You're able to see them. You're able to interact more. The other nice thing about video phone calling is when a person talks, we pick up a lot on people's body languages. And we pick up, and we don't realize it, but we read lips a lot more than what we realize, even though we're not professionally trained lip readers or anything like that. But for a person who has a little bit of hearing loss, sometimes doing that video phone calling versus your traditional type phone call on a phone, you're going to have a more productive phone call or interaction because of that body language. I see somebody's furry friend wants to join our meeting. Nobody. So, just letting you know there are a lot of benefits to that. But it is, you know, sometimes it is a little bit, oh my gosh, taking the leap into it. That's what we are here for. We're here to train and to let you know how to do it. It can be, if you have a voice activated device, and it doesn't have to just be an iPhone, you can do them sometimes voice activated. So it can be, hey Siri, FaceTime Calvin.
Making a FaceTime call to Calvin.
So I push no buttons. And there's Calvin's phone he's going to accept my call. And he's going to see me as Siri. So now I'm on Calvin's, even though he's in Green Bay and I'm in, and we're getting some really bad feedback. But just letting you know, that's how easy it can be. It does not have to be anything complicated, and you can do voice activated with Android phones. You can also do them with a great feature or a great product, the Echo Show. And I'm going to see if I can bring it a little bit more forward. I kind of put it in a bad spot. So the Echo Show, I'm going to first show you the box. So I don't know if any of you have seen on TV where the person talks about, and yes, Melissa has one. So Melissa, I might call on you in just a little bit. So I worked with Melissa on the Echo Show for a lot of other benefits that we'll talk about later, how the Echo Show can be beneficial besides video phone calling. So, but the Echo Show, one of the nice features that the Echo Show has, so I'm going to backtrack. You might have seen on TV the phone calls for Alexa, turn on the lights. Alexa, order a pizza. Alexa, the line behind me is starting to go off. Alexa, do this or that, whatever it may be. Alexa, what is the weather? Is a big one they'll show.
In Green Bay, 70 degrees Fahrenheit with partly sunny skies. Today, you can expect intermittent clouds with a high of 73 degrees and a low of 59 degrees.
So you can ask her questions, and you might have seen that on TV. The one nice thing that the Echo Show has, and where it comes into communication quite well, is the fact that you can do what are called drop-in calls. Drop-in calls allows you to call someone, and they don't have to necessarily answer the call. They don't have to push a button, swipe on a phone, and sometimes, depending upon if a person is having some memory loss or some type of cognitive delay or whatever it may be, you're able to check in with that person, or maybe it's mobility. That mobility-wise, it's just really hard. They have arthritis, and it's just really hard for them to do that swiping motion or things of that nature. So all I need to say into my Alexa is, Alexa, drop in on Steve. And you're going to see upstairs, I have an Echo Show up in my kitchen. And this one is calling my one up in my kitchen. You're going to see my Cheerio box here pretty soon. I purposely left that out, that you can kind of see something. I don't know. I'm trying to get it so that you guys can see the screen. But this is my kitchen upstairs. The device that was up in the kitchen was at somebody else's home or whatever, I can drop in on that person. They did not have to accept the call, which is great for this. I'm going to turn off my call right now so I can hear the echo. What's great about that is if you're, let's say you have this Echo Show on your desk at work, or you have it, you're caring for your parents and you have the device in your house and they have it at theirs. It's great that you can just sit at your house, you can drop in, see what mom and dad are up to, you can see that they're doing okay, or maybe you need to help assist with their medication taking or things of that nature. You could drop in when it's medication time, eating time, whatever it may be, to help assist and be that virtual caregiver, and you're not at home. The other thing that is great is that if you have the Alexa app on your phone, you're able to do the call from your phone. So you only technically need one device. The app is free. So there's and you can have multiple people on the app. So all you have to do is you go into your app. I'm going to go to communication. I choose drop in. And now I'm going to choose to drop in on my Echo Show. And then it's going to come up on my phone. Of course, this is the moment always. There it is. And you're going to see my kitchen then come up on my screen. And that way you're able to, if you're out running errands, you're at the grocery store, doctor's office, whatever it may be, and you want to drop in and check in on your loved one or communicate with your loved one, you can do it that way. We had a gentleman, there was a gentleman up in the Door County area who we recently worked with, and the family is spread out throughout the entire United States. There's 5 kids in the family, and the closest one lives down in the Milwaukee-ish area. And dad is up in the Door County area, and the kids wanted to be able to connect with him. And he had early stages of dementia, not truly diagnosed, but sometimes when a phone call would come in, he just got a little bit flustered. Also, too, with the traditional handset of a phone, he was misplacing them and they wouldn't stay charged. So the kids would call the house and the traditional cordless phone was dead. And so interaction with their dad was not well. So after talking with them, we had a Zoom meeting with all 5 kids. They decided to go with the Echo Show. And they got the Echo Show into the house, and the kids now were all calling in from their app and talking to dad, and dad was seeing them on the screen, and he thought this was great. Well, then it got to be so good that what they decided to do, one of the granddaughters was getting married in Kansas City or Kentucky, whatever, and they had a family member hold up the phone, and the dad watched on the Echo Show. He watched the entire wedding. And then the fun part is at the reception, they passed the phone around, and he talked to family members he hadn't seen in years, all through the Echo Show, and they said he just had a blast. And so there are a lot of great benefits to that drop-in feature because of the fact that for a loved one or a family member who just accepting that call or some things, just aren't great, the Echo Show really helps to kind of overcome that barrier. Now, if you don't want the drop-in feature, so let's say, that seems invasion of privacy. You can turn that feature off, and then it's just traditional video phone calling. You have to just accept a call like how you would a green, either a red or a green, symbol comes up. You tap the green symbol that you want to accept the call, and you can do it that way. You can also, too, I know I put this in the worst spot possible. On the Echo Show up on the top, there is a shutter you can close to turn off the camera. So if for some reason, if you would not want the camera on, you do have the drop-in feature installed, but it might not be an appropriate time for someone to drop in. You can always turn that camera off and then just slide it back to on. So there is that feature as well. This is the smallest version of the Echo Show. The one I have up in my kitchen is the large one. And I always say that one about the screen size is about the size of an 8 by 11 sheet of paper. Right around there. They consider it a 10-inch screen. The one I showed you, that is the smallest. That is the 5, and it's about the size of your phone screen. They also make an 8. They also are coming out with the Echo Show 11. Now, they have not had the projection date for it. It just talks about it like in newsletters and things, that it will be coming out, and it will be able to track a person. So right now the camera is stationary. So right now, wherever the camera is, I would have to be in front of it. And if I moved away, I'd get out of the camera, just like how now, it's like that, a stationary camera. But what it will do eventually is it'll track you. So just like how I can turn now, it would do the same thing automatically on its own, which would be good because if you are a remote caregiver and you are caring for someone who is at risk for falls and you're going to drop in to check on their well-being, and if they did have a fall, you could direct the camera to see if they had fallen or if they're just well and sitting in a different chair than they typically are, or didn't notice that you had dropped in or whatever it may be. So some neat features with that one coming up. But like I said, they have not released the projection date. At first they said it was going to be before Christmas, but I don't see that happening. So, but some exciting, things to come with that. Does anybody have any questions up to this point? Other great things you can do with the Echo Show, and this is one product that it's got so many multiple different things you can do with it, and kind of like what you can do with some of your other smart devices as well. But the Echo Show, one of them is the price point is really great. And the Echo Show 5 right now, because we're getting into that holiday-ish type of season, the Echo Show right now on Amazon is $44. It's a one-time investment. You just would then have your ongoing Wi-Fi or internet fees. But if you already have internet in the house, then it would not be any new fee. And, that $44 is a pretty nice price point. The larger one right now is retailing right around that 150-ish, 170-ish range. I've seen it fluctuate as Amazon pricing does. But it is kind of something to kind of check out because it is, if you're looking for an option for video phone calling and you don't want the ongoing fees of doing a smartphone or something for a loved one, or you think that a tablet or something of that nature would be just too confusing for them, the Echo Show might be a good alternative. Like I said, because it is a reasonable price point and things of that nature. Some of the other benefits, and Calvin can get more into this, is the smart home technology that goes along with an Echo Show. And some of the smart home technology, again, can be run off other devices as well. But you can check in on your loved one with special door locks and things. You can check to see if the doors are locked from the Echo Show. So if you get door locks that are compatible, you would download the app onto your smartphone or your computer at home or whatever it may be. And then you would just open that up and you would be like, oh, yep, front door is open. And if you have it set up, you could be able to lock it. So if you're, again, remotely caregiving for someone and you notice that those doors are still open at 11 o'clock at night, and that's a concerning thing, you could be that remote caregiver and make sure the doors are locked. Same with lights. You can see that the lights are on, what thermostat is set at. You can also check to see if sump pump is working. There is, oh my goodness, Calvin, this is where I'm going to have you kind of pipe in and kind of talk about some of the few other benefits of what you can do with smart home with an Alexa or other devices.
Yeah, you stole some of my thunder already.
I know, I'm so sorry. I just got so excited.
So I'm going to try to not steal the show here. I've been doing a presentation that's about an hour long, just on some of the smart home features alone. So I promised Stacy I would keep it brief. So I just kind of wanted to share two of the overview slides of kind of some of the other uses for these devices. Other ways to use these smart devices, which are also called virtual assistants, for dictation. So if typing is difficult, physical or learning disabilities, or whatever your difficulty is interacting, reading messages, reading emails, access to phone numbers. Stacy, I'm getting some feedback. Could you mute yourself?
I'm going to turn, yep, I'm going to turn. I'm going to mute myself.
Makes me sound like a transformer.
I know. We're not getting a mute.
So maintaining like an address book or a phone list, scheduling assistant. So I've got a lot of consumers that are using this, be it a phone or one of these standalone devices in their home to keep track of a calendar and scheduling events, appointment reminders. We can schedule those so that they give you reminders. You've got an appointment today at 3 o'clock. It can tell you that at 8 in the morning. It can remind you again at noon and maybe like an hour before that appointment. Obviously, we talked about all the phone calls and then controlling devices in your home. So I've got another slide here in that other presentation is what can be controlled in my home. And I'm just going to give kind of a real quick list to go through these. And if we have some time or if anybody has any specific questions, feel free to intervene. Control of television. There's all sorts of devices. There's been a lot of that for a long time. The discrepancy with television control is a lot of these devices, especially the built-in, they don't really give you full control over the TV. You can't control a cable box potentially, or some of them you could control features, but you can't actually turn the TV on. So you'd need to physically interact with the remote to do that. So some of these will provide complete voice activated control of a television. Lights, if that's individual light bulbs, if that's fixtures, if that's like a ceiling fan where you want to be able to operate the fan independent of the lights, that can be controlled through a smart switch or an outlet for a lamp. So there's all sorts of different ways we can control lights. Outlets, any electronic device that plugs into an outlet that has a physical override switch or a physical off-on switch rather, we can control that with an outlet. Blinds, we've got some voice activated blinds here. That's an interesting area. Can be dangerous. People leaning over blinds, leaning over the back of a couch to get at like a big picture window. And then it takes a lot of manipulation to twist those blinds or to pull those strings. Every time you pull one, the other one pulls down and it's crooked. So sometimes having that feature is really nice. Doorbell, to be able to interact with somebody at your door if it's difficult to get there. You can see who it is. You can determine whether or not you want to provide access before you determine you want to let them in. And then I've got consumers that will pair that with a smart lock as well. So Stacy's holding holding up the product box, so you can kind of see what that Ring doorbell is, a common brand. So what you could do is interact with that person who's at the door if it's difficult for you to get there or for security reasons. And then if you decide you want to let them in, you can actually use an app to unlock your deadbolt as well. So from your bed or from wherever you are in the home, maybe a remote area, you can actually say, why don't you come on in? I just unlocked the door for you, and you can grant access, and then you can deadbolt the door behind them so that your home is secured. Cameras for home monitoring. if that's to help keep an eye on a loved one, or if that's for you to do, kind of the security, keep an eye in your own home. Caregiver access is another thing that Stacy and I have talked quite a bit about with consumers. We get a lot of caregiver turnover. We see that quite often. And what that means is you either leave the door unlocked if you're a person with a disability so that caregivers can come and go as they need to, or you're handing out physical keys, or you're handing out a key code if you've got a number style lock. More often than not, people are just leaving their door unlocked, which is a really big security issue. So with these smart type locks, you can actually grant access to a caregiver through an app on their phone. And then when they come over to your house, if you've granted them access, it's activated by Bluetooth. So when their phone gets within a certain proximity range of that deadbolt lock, it will automatically let them in at the times that you've granted access. So if you have a caregiver from 8 to 10, or if you are a caregiver, you can grant access for that person from 8 to 10, but deny access to them outside of those hours. So what we've also seen a lot of and experienced personally with family members of mine is caregivers may take advantage of the situation, have access to your home. They've got a key, they've got your trust, they know where your money is. They can let themselves in at a time when they know you're not there, or a time when you're maybe in bed and can't get to even see who's there. So this allows security to have people come in the home, but also monitor when and who comes into the home. If there's caregiver, you revoke access, and then it doesn't affect any of the other caregivers. Garage door, to be able to tell if a door is open or closed, or to open or close it. From other devices as well, such as an Apple Watch or smart watches, where you can do that remotely. Telecommunications, obviously we talked about some of that. Stacy's going to give me a few moments to share more of that in a little bit here. Thermostat controls, infrared devices. So anything that you've got that's got the old infrared little eye on it, there's devices that have an infrared blaster, it's called, that can communicate with older technology. So keep in mind, you don't need to have the newest technology all the time in order to do voice activation. There are kind of hubs and different devices that we can use to go between them and control older type devices. Alarms, sensors, monitors. A lot of people have a hard time maybe keeping an eye on a basement. If there's flood, if there's standing water, if there's anything like that, you can have smart ways to be able to monitor your home. Lawnmowers, vacuums. I think everyone's kind of familiar with the Roomba, has been around a long time. Those used to be terrible. I had one of the original ones. They didn't do anything. Those have really come a long way. They're a lot more effective now. And lawnmowers, it's kind of made that transition as well. So if you're a person that needs that assistant, or you're not having to have a caregiver utilize their time in doing some of those home cares, or if you've got pets, to help kind of maintain some of that in between caregiver time. And then pet feeders as well. If you've got pets, then you need to be able to maintain that. I've added a slide here even. The question that has come up often when I mention that is, well, what about cleaning up the pet mess in the yard? There's at least one product that has now come in. It's this little robot thing that will pick up the dog poo. I don't know how well. I haven't seen it in action, and of course it's new, so it's very expensive. So I think that's kind of at the prototype stages. But it's this concept of, if there's things that you can't do independently and you're having to hire out or have family members or caregivers do that, there's a lot of this technology that can take over and do a lot of that stuff so that you can operate it independently, or so nobody else has to utilize their time in accessing some of that. And again, I could go all day, but I'm going to go ahead and cut myself short. Stacy, if you want to hop back in, and you've got yourself muted, just a reminder, if you want to unmute. Does anybody else have any questions while she's doing that on any of those things specifically?
And feel free to also, at the end of the presentation, we'll give you our phone numbers and emails. Always feel that you can always email us, ask us questions, any of those things as well. Or if right now you're not comfortable speaking up, also you can put questions into the chat box, and Jennifer will read those off to us as well. So please don't feel like you need to hold back. So there is a lot of benefit, like we said, Echo Show or other smart devices, with just making everyday things a little bit simpler. Melissa does have an Echo Show at her house. And Melissa, I know you're texting, I can see. But can I ask, can you unmute yourself for just a second?
Yes.
You have the Echo Show at your house. Can you just real quick, just some of the things you're using it for in everyday life?
A couple of things I'm using it for is a medication reminder, to take my medication. Another thing is to like the events for the day. What do I have got going on in my calendar?
And do you find it easy to set up those reminders and things of that nature?
Yes, I do.
And do you do most of them through voice activation? Just telling?
Voice activation. Yep.
That says that. Yeah, so, okay, you can go ahead and mute yourself. Thank you for sharing. Didn't mean to put you in the spot.
Okay.
Good. No, but I had worked with Melissa a little while ago on, or gosh golly, now it's because of Corona, it was a long time ago. But implementing the Echo Show into her life and how to use it for reminders and just raw positive feedback and things of that nature. So, so let's say though that you don't want to, Echo Show, or you don't have Wi-Fi in the home and it's not something that you really want to use. How can we still communicate and things of that nature? One of the things that I did work with a family, I've worked with a couple different families actually, is using communication cards or making communication lanyards. This one is well loved, and it was used by a family, so it's kind of in it's on stages. Could use a little bit of updating, but the person had due to a brain tumor, they had lost their ability to speak and communicate verbally, even though they knew exactly what they wanted. And so, and using a pen and paper was very challenging at the same time. So we had used the communication lanyard. And on the first one, it just says, "Hi, my name is," and then they had just filled in their loved one's name at that point. And then there's all different types of pictures. So she was able to go through and just show the picture of water, stating that, she was, thirsty, communicating her needs. We had used the medication one to demonstrate she needed meds, that she needed more pain medication and different things. Kleenex, so all those typical things, you just find what pictures would work for that person in that setting, and that is another great way for the person to communicate. You can have it be that it's on a lanyard, so it's always with them. So if they're mobile and they're out at a doctor's appointment or whatever it may be, they can be communicating with the doctor even though they might not have that verbal speech ability at that time for whatever reason it might be, due to medication or, a scenario as I just addressed. So, and we can help families put these together. I've got a set pile of different pictures and different things that we have found to be effective. I'm going to bring Kelvin back in, and he's going to talk about telecommunications and traditional landline phones and different benefits with hearing loss and different things of that nature. I'm going to mute myself.
Okay. So I'm at our office here. Stacy's presenting from home. Our office is still closed, as I think she mentioned. So it's made how we do our services a little bit different. So generally, I'm going to flip my camera here. Generally, we'd meet with consumers in our AT room. Jennifer, are you able to spotlight me? I'm not sure if people are seeing me as the primary or if they're just seeing my little screen.
They might have to do that on their end with the grids in the top right corner. There's a little button that they can change the grids on their screen.
Is everybody able to do that? I can just kind of show some of the things. If not, you'll have to focus in on the small screen. I'm doing mine from an iPad, so maybe your display is a little bit different. But so there's a state voucher program in Wisconsin called TEP, TEPP, and that's Telecommunications Equipment Purchase Program. And managing that program is about half of my funding source for my position. The other half being WISTech is our state assistive technology program. So about half of my focus goes on providing access for people to telecommunications equipment. So that program has also transitioned. Can everybody hear me okay? I'm realizing I'm kind of covering the microphone. I'm seeing one head nod. Am I scratching or creating any terrible? Okay, good. So what this program used to be primarily was for people with hearing loss, landline telephones for somebody that wasn't able to hear on a standard phone, corded, phones. And this program has transitioned quite a bit in the last 10 years to include now cellular and other choices. So, at the basis of this, if you're a person that has hearing loss and you have a hard time hearing and communicating on a phone, you have access to this voucher program every 3 years if you're a person with hearing loss, vision loss, or mobility impairment. So some of the phones that you're seeing here, we don't sell anything in our building. Everything that we have is purchased through our grant programs. And the purpose of it here, generally outside of a COVID world, is I would set up an appointment, have people come in here. We talk about kind of what your barriers are, what your goals are, and we try to let you try out equipment yourself and determine on your own what works the best. All of these phones work a little bit differently. They have adjustable volume, tone, corded, cordless. Some of these have, let's see, images on them. There's photo dialers that have an entire booklet here where you can put pictures of contacts. So if you're a person that's got some memory loss or just looking for simple solutions, you can just one touch press a button, a picture of a family member, and it would call them. There weren't a lot of great mobility solutions. If you're a person with limited mobility, there weren't a lot of great voice activated devices before, what we know now of all this technology Stacy just talked about. This phone was a device that had some voice activation. It got by, but compared to what we have now, it's terrible. Most folks now looking for mobility solutions. We're looking at using a lot of this technology that Stacy's already talked about, or smartphones that can be activated by voice or by switches. So we've got different things that we can connect here. This is called a pillow switch. When you squeeze that, it does an action, and then we program that. This is a connection switch. I had an individual with ALS who had no ability, no grip strength, no ability to move arms, hands. All he could do was touch his two fingers together. And I created this. It's just a contact switch. It just completes a circuit. And I was able to give him full control over an iPad and an iPhone. That was a challenge I had gotten in a support group meeting. And everybody was really excited to be able to control that. So there's all sorts of different ways. We have here some of the captioning phones that are a little bit more widely advertised. So again, if you've got severe hearing loss and it helps to read the captions, that is a choice as well. There's some drawbacks to some of these. Our goal is never to promote any one particular device. It's always just to kind of inform you as a consumer of, and point some direction, and then do a trial and determine yourself. And then afterwards, I can help apply for that voucher and get the equipment in your hands. Again, the base voucher is $100. The secondary for severe hearing loss is $800. And what that helps cover are visual alert systems. So if you're a person with hearing loss and you have a hard time hearing on the phone, you probably are also not hearing it ring. You're probably not hearing possibly doorbells or smoke detectors, those types of things. So there are what are called visual alert systems. And I've got here a doorbell that I obviously just activated. I don't know if you can see that flickering. Maybe you can see the flashing. It looks like the bulb isn't picking up directly, but that's going to trigger flashing lights in the home that are going to catch your attention. If you don't hear the audible, it's going to give you a visual. And if you're asleep or your eyes are closed, you're not going to hear that. You're not going to see those lights. These systems come with what's called a bed shaker. It's this vibrating puck that everybody always chuckles about. You stick that under your mattress or under your pillow, somewhere, like the idea of a cell phone on vibrate mode. and that will wake you. That can be used as an alarm clock, or for somebody with hearing aids or cochlear that takes that equipment off at night, maybe it's going to alert you to a smoke detector that you wouldn't otherwise hear independently. So all sorts of this kind of equipment can be covered under this voucher. The purpose of this voucher is because this equipment is really expensive. And a person with hearing loss shouldn't have to pay more money than somebody who doesn't have hearing loss. So that's why this program was put into place. It's not an income-based program. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It's just helping to offset the cost. For example, some of these cordless phones are $125. And really, it's just a regular cordless phone. It just has that amplifier and tone to give better sound. So the idea with the $100 voucher is it's to offset the cost. So you as a person with hearing loss are paying about comparable to I as a person who doesn't have hearing loss for comparable equipment. We're both getting then equal access to telecommunications. All sorts of other alerting devices. You know, we're familiar with the call buttons that we'll call a monitored system. Some of these phones you can actually set up so that you don't have to pay a reoccurring fee to a monitoring service. This particular device I've got here, if you were to press that button, it's going to call family members. So there's no reoccurring fees to that. That's just a single device that you plug into your phone line. So if you're to fall or if you need help, you press that button on the lanyard that's hanging around your neck, and it will call a family member so that you're, again, not having to pay that reoccurring service if that's financially difficult for you. And I think that's about all I really need to touch on. I'm just trying to show some of the different variations of this. How we're trying to do this program now. I've got access to some funding due to rewriting our grants for the new fiscal year. That's allowing me to have money for shipping and handling. So what I try to do is determine with you, again, it's difficult to have this conversation. If talking on the phone is difficult, I need to have that conversation with you on the phone. So there's a lot of barriers to how we're running this program. So one of the alternatives we have, if you don't have a smart device, I have some of these that we've purchased. So we have some extra smartphones, we have some extra Echo Shows, and we have wireless hotspots. So I can send you all of the equipment you might need so that you and I can do a virtual call together. Very simple equipment. I can instigate it all so that I can potentially observe what's going on with you, or we can maybe communicate a little bit more efficiently. But then we can also determine if that equipment might be helpful. And once we find out, kind of narrow down our choices, so I can't really send everybody 35 phones to try. We narrow it down. I put a few of these devices in a box and I ship them UPS to you. I walk you through setup. Again, you use that device if I need to kind of show you how to plug it all in and how to utilize it. You try it out for a week or two, make your determination, and then I schedule a pickup. You put all that stuff back in the box, set it outside on your doorstep, and then I have UPS come with a label and pick it back up and bring it back to me. So we've got funding to be able to provide that in that method at this time. I think we're all hopeful that this COVID thing kind of wraps down eventually, but you know, we're being realistic and trying to make sure we're keeping us and you guys all safe as well, and coming up with a service model that does that.
Calvin, we have a question.
Yes.
And there's a question is how do we get the voucher?
I can help you apply for the voucher. The voucher is administered through the state. I don't recall what the website is. You can do it on your own. I would suggest you call either Stacy or I to find out. There's a voucher. There's a $100 voucher, an $800, a $1,600 for mobility, and there's a voucher for speech impairment and hearing loss. And I think there's another one for deaf blind as well. So we can help you determine what the appropriate voucher would be, and I can help you apply for that. Otherwise, I'd have to come up with a website. If you Google Wisconsin DHS TEP, TEPP, I think you'll come across it. But again, I want to caution people on doing that on their own, because once you do apply, if you're to utilize that, we don't have access to that voucher for 3 years. So generally, I would suggest you contact us and we can help make sure that you're doing that appropriately and getting you the best equipment for you.
And I know Stacy said at the beginning too that you guys were going to share your phone numbers and everything. So that's another way to connect with them too.
And then Stacy, I'll bounce it back to you. I think I'm done with the telecoms part.
Alrighty, thank you, Calvin, for sharing all of that. And please definitely feel free to use Calvin as a resource. And again, like I said before, we will share all of our contact information at the end. So we talked before about a lot of the higher tech things for communication and different things of that nature. Now, one system, so if you're caring for someone and you want to know that your loved one is in need of you or things of that nature, and I've had this before where someone's like, yes, I can have something else tied into my phone, but it's getting overwhelming having everything turned into my phone. And if I have someone else come to the house, they have to either download the app so that they're compatible, or I have to leave my phone behind, or whatever it may be. And I'm like, is there just something simpler than tying everything into my phone to know that my loved one needs me or things? And there are different devices out there. One of them out there is a caregiver pager system. And so the caregiver gets a pager, and you'll notice that there's different lights on the pager, and I'll get back to that in a second. But what happens is like, this is the call button. So the person pushes the call button, the pager goes off. So if you're out and about mowing the lawn outside, your loved one is resting, and you want to know that they need you, or you're in the shower or somewhere where you're not going to auditorily hear them, the caregiver pager is a great one to use. Like I said before, it has the different lights on it. You can tie 4 different devices into the lights or into the device. You can tie in door alarms. So the door opens and closes. That would go off. Also, window alarms you can do as well. You can do the call button. You can also do the bed sensor. So with the bed sensor, if the person, so when the person releases, the pager is going to go off, and then you know that your loved one has gotten up out of the chair. I always have this one disconnected. There we go, the joys of demonstrating. Oh, goodness golly. Okay. We've all heard it. It's great sounding, isn't it? But the joys of that are, or the benefits of that are with the mat. I have it disconnected now, so now I can touch it. You can have this in a chair or on a bed. Your loved one goes to rise. If they're at risk for falls, you know that they're starting the standing process, and you can go over there and you can have them sit back down, and you can assist them to try and minimize fall risks or things of that nature. You can also have motion sensors tied in. So at night, if you're okay that your loved one is getting up and they're going to the bathroom, but you want to know if they're going further down the hall, if they're getting closer to the door, or you want to know that they're by the door, you can set up a motion sensor, and when the person goes past the motion sensor, then the caregiver pager will go off. A lot of caregivers will sleep with this underneath their pillow, right next to their bedstand, so that they can hear it. And again, there are many of these same types of products that will tie into your smartphone. So if you'd rather have it be that way, where the bed sensor goes off, it goes to the smartphone, or motion sensor, whatever it may be. It's just depending upon what you would want as a caregiver, but letting you know that this is another option out there. This does not require Wi-Fi in the home. It doesn't, there's no internet. You buy it and everything is synced automatically together. So letting you know about that one. Another great one And I do apologize. I thought this was all set up, and then I realized my batteries were dead, and I didn't have updated batteries, so that's my fault. But what this is this is a great reminder clock, and you are able to record your own personal messages. So if you want your loved one to take their meds at 9 a.m., it's George, it's now time to take your 9 a.m. meds. And this will keep talking until they hit the green button on top to stop that personal message going off. And you can record up to 8 messages a day. So all throughout the day, different messages could come across, and it could be everything from, Mom, it's now time to do your evening check. Make sure stove is off, doors are locked, lights are off. Or it could be, remember to walk Fido at, it's 5 o'clock. It's now time to take Fido for his walk. Or whatever the reminders are going to, whatever those personal messages are going to be. We did have one family that they had the clock, and the gentleman had early onset dementia. And he also had diabetes. And he would forget to test his blood sugars and things throughout the day. And his wife was trying to still continue to work. And so we had gotten the clock in, and it was, Henry, it is now time to test your blood sugars. Call Margie at 495-8566 with the readings. And then she would call, because Margie was always constantly, obviously these are not real names, Margie would be sitting there at work, and she was constantly, she just wasn't as focused, because she said, oh, it's going to be time to do blood sugar check. Oh, it's going to be time to do blood sugar check soon. And now this put this back to George, and then George was able to call. They were able to figure out his blood sugars and all that kind of stuff. She also had other reminders on there as well. But George was like, he's like, yeah, thanks for the clock. Now it's like Margie is here with me at the house all the time. He was like, that voice is constantly going off, but it was all good, They had a lot of fun with it. And she would also, sometimes she would, record some really, just positive messages. Hey, George, letting you know I'm thinking about you, blah, blah, blah. Some real fun things there. So letting you know that that's, an easy, great one for communication. Another good one, if you're looking for communication, are just voice reminders. So if you're caring for someone and visually they're just not able to read like a quick note that you might record on a bright piece of paper to get their attention and things, you could then also do voice recorders. And voice recorders, these are real inexpensive. I picked them up at Walmart. They come in a pack of 5, and like the whole pack of 5 is under $10. But you just quickly switch it over. And today is November 9th. So you're able to record real quick messages on there. Henry, I went to the grocery store. I'll be back at 11 o'clock. Or just letting you know those communicational things. So if your loved one is sleeping as you leave, or if there's things you want them to remember to do during the day, empty the dishwasher, this, that, whatever, you're able to record it. And it's just a real easy switch of the button to record a new message. I also find it great as a caregiver that you can sit there and, oh my gosh, I need eggs, milk, and record my shopping list as I need to, instead of, oh my gosh, get to the store and, what did I all need? There are other ones you can buy, same concept. They're just a little bit higher price, but you get a little bit better quality. Plus, you can take the cover off and you can put a note on here. So you could just slip a piece of paper in real quick, that fits, and you would be able to put it in there. And on that note, you could say, press me if that's what you want, or please listen, or, you know, whatever you would want that note on there to be. And then you could record your message. So, again, just real simple. Please brush your teeth, put toothpaste on toothbrush, run under water, scrub teeth, rinse mouth. Oh, don't tell me. My battery's dead. Okay, normally this would be a really good demonstration and it would say exactly what I said. Obviously, battery issue here. Sorry. But, you know, so you're able to give this one, the green ones, again, this is something I ordered off of Amazon, but it's able to do a minute-long message. This one is only 20 seconds. But 20 seconds is actually a pretty long period of time. But if you do have a loved one and you're still wanting them to complete certain tasks and things around the house, I can also help you put together like tutorial sheets on how to complete a certain task or thing. So if you want it to be pictures with a narrative, or if you're wanting it to be a little bit more simple, we can just do just pictures, or we can have it be just narrative if pictures are too much as well. So there's a lot of things, you know, we can help put together to help with that communication throughout the house and things to make things easier and stronger and such. Another thing too that, you know, we never think of tape is being, communication. Well, tape can be a great one for communication and helping you to figure out if you're caring for a loved one on areas of the house that maybe if you take and you strip off bright colored tape. Typically, I would suggest to do this in like pink or red. If you don't want the person to go by the door, or in black, you tape that off. This is a do not enter area. And then they won't proceed to the door. Great visual for communication. Also to support walking in the home and things of that nature, glow in the dark tape at night for helping them to figure out where the bathroom is, putting a big X on the bathroom door that is where the bathroom is. Or this is your walking path to get to the bathroom, so you stripe it off at night, or doing it in bright colored tape if you're using, you know, if you do have a lot of night lights and so the glow of the tape isn't going to show up, using a more fluorescent colored light showing the pathways at night and things. Also just for general safety, marking off the rungs of your stairs at night. Marking those off, or even in the daylight with bright colored tape, either one is great, because as we age, our depth perception, it diminishes a little. And sometimes the steps, sometimes even in bad lighting, just doesn't look, it's hard to see where one step ends and the other one begins. And so to really minimize those fall risks, marking off the edges of each one of those stairs can really help to give a good visual of where those stairs, where one stair begins and the other one ends, so you can have proper footing. The other thing is where it is great, garages. If you have garage steps, always in our garages just are not well lit, or basement stairs as well. But, you know, so a great place is to take either bright colored paint or just doing the tape and marking that off. The other thing you can do is these sconce lights. I picked this up at Walmart. It was like $6. But what is nice about it is it's, excuse me, I just swallowed funny. Oh, goodness. This is, first of all, it's sticky. So it's a sticky back, you know, like how you get the 3M strips and you're able to, you know, put them on the wall and they don't really wreck anything because you pull it down and then it comes off nicely. That's what the basis of this is. But stick it up on the ceiling above your steps. It's motion activated or motion censored. So as you open up that door, the light's going to come on. It's going to illuminate those garage steps. You're going to see exactly where the footing is. And then as you leave, the light automatically goes off because it's, you know, it's not sensing motion anymore. So a great inexpensive way to bring some extra lighting into that space, or even, you know, any staircase or any dull lit space in the home. It's a great way just to stick it on and use it. We use this in a closet at our work, and we've now had it in that closet at work for, oh gosh, I think 3 years. Still haven't replaced the batteries. So it's a really nice long battery life, really great motion sensor. Just a great way to add some extra light and things. Now too, what was I going to say? Now I just lost my whole train of thought. Lighting can be a great thing to, you know, really look at and help support your loved ones. Also too, this is a great little product too. This is just a sticky pad to put over your light switch. It helps you to see where the light switch is in the dark so that you can find it. I use blow tape a lot in our bedroom. I mark an X off where my water glass is, so I know where my water glass is in the dark, so I'm not whacking things. Kleenex box, to find the Kleenex box at night. Anything you're looking for. TV remote, any of those great things. TV remotes. How many of you have ever had it? Now, Kelvin did talk before about how you can use your phone now as your, you know, or Alexa to change your channel and things. But if you're like me, sometimes, you know, you just like using the good old-fashioned TV remote. But you push on a traditional remote. I'm looking for my actual TV remote here at my house. You have like 9,000 buttons on your TV remote. You push one of them up at the top, and the next thing you know, the whole system's out of whack, and you can't control the TV at all. Duct tape is great. Tape off whatever it is you don't want to use. So if you don't use any of these buttons up here at the top, take your duct tape and tape it off. Cuts down on a lot of frustration. Same thing, you know, any buttons on the bottom or whatever it may be. Great way to just cut down on that frustration and just leave open the buttons that are usable or that are necessary. The other thing is holding on to it. So sometimes it's our dexterity, like holding on to that TV remote can be a real challenge for some people. Adding, in this case, now this is on a phone, but adding, just using Velcro as a universal cuff, something that's going to just help you support the holding onto, and that'll help you be able to hold that button. You're not having to do that full grip if you're having some arthritis, or if there was a stroke, spasticity, whatever it may be, being able to have that something to help hold onto it. And then again, this can then, you know, if there was a strip, I could just move it onto a Velcro. I could put it on all different items. If this was my hairbrush, then I'd be able to brush with an open hand and things of that nature. So using that Velcro as like a universal cuff. And all it is the Velcro is just put around in a circle. And then you put that extra piece on. So it can be a great way for holding on to some of those items and things. Phone, whatever, you know, to help increase communication. Because sometimes if you're talking for a real long time, that hand can get very cramped. And again, that could be put, you know, just on my smart device or whatever. So just letting you know about that. Real quick, because I know we're getting really close on time, I just really wanted to quickly highlight as we're getting into Christmas time, the power of red. The power of red, if you have a loved one who is in needing of consuming more calories, the power of red, it has been studied. Many, many different universities have studied this. You will eat 20% more food if you eat off of a red plate. The reason being is the fact that endorphins go off in our brains when we see red. Red is electric, it is cheerful, it is all of those things. It's energizing. And when we eat off of a red plate, we consume 20% more calories. Now, the reverse happens if we eat off of a green or blue plate because the food looks discolored. So if during the holiday season you want to consume more calories, choose those red hefty plates. If you want to consume 20% less food, then it is going with green or blue. So if the doctor has mentioned, ooh, we do need to increase calories, think maybe possibly getting some red plates. If decreasing calories, maybe think about looking up blue or green. The other thing I want to bring up is, I know with arthritis, and I know this isn't about communication, but I just always find this interesting. All of us, and you saw me earlier today, I sat here with my coffee mug, and coffee mugs can get very, very heavy. Traditionally, they're a very weighted item, and they're very, very heavy. You know, they're ceramic, whatever they're made out of. Think about camping wear. This is a coffee mug, very light, but you're still able to, it still has a nice handle on it. This was just picked up in the camping section at Walmart. Still able to enjoy that hot cup of coffee, but it's very light. And so if you do have someone who's got some arthritis or even carpal tunnel or whatever it may be, really look at camping wear as a way to help minimize the weight for that person so that they're more successful in mulch without getting the arm fatigue. We do have several specialized eating utensils at options. And so lift wear being one of them for a person who might have a spinal cord injury or things. So where you traditionally we would eat in our elbow lifts and rises. But for a person who doesn't have full range of motion, to be successful going food, you know, from plate to mouth, maybe using, I don't know if you've noticed how it bends and it does all kinds of interesting things as to help keep it all level. Now, this is a very expensive piece of equipment. It's like $200-300, depending upon the set you would pick. The great thing is about options, you can come and try it out. And we've had people who were going to be on the waiting list to get one. They came to options, tried it out, and found out it didn't happen. And we did have one other family who it did work, and then we wrote a letter of support to their funding source stating they came to our offices, we saw the benefits in it, you know, X, Y, and Z, and then we were able to help them get it funded through a funding source because they were able to try it out. So, and during not typical non-COVID times, that is the beauty that we've been able to secure a lot of this equipment through grants and things. You can come and try it out. We are not brand specific. We are not affiliated with anybody. Our whole point is for you to find the items that are going to work because we all know that people have limited budgets. And if you're going to take, you know, a certain budget amount, we want to make sure that you're getting the right item and it's gonna, you know, it's going to do the right thing and those monies aren't going to go towards something that's not going to hit the mark. So, as I know time's running short here, so sorry. Any questions on anything or anything? I think there's one question in the chat. Is there? Oh, there was a voucher. Somebody asked if potato salad looks great on a blue plate. Love that question. For me, who is a person who does not like potato salad at all, I don't think I've ever seen a plate color where it looks good on. Now, my husband finds it differently, but that's a good question. So, just to let you know, so contact information, I'm going to hold this up if you want to write it down. This is my phone number. If you need to get a hold of me is 920-393-1050. And then if you want to email me, you can always email me my first name, Stacy, and it's STACIE, S as in Sam at the end, at optionsil.org. And you can contact me with any questions, and we'll help you figure out, the answers. And if I'm not the right person to talk to, I'll help you figure out who would be the appropriate person to talk to. Kelvin, did you want to share your information then?
Well, why don't we just keep all that communication, Stacy, for simplicity through you, and then you can connect anybody if it's appropriate. You can connect them with me directly or give me their information.
That sounds really good.
I will fill out your phone number and email to everybody.
Thank you. So again, I will just put my card up and just on the chat. So again, my number is 920-393-1050. And I just, please use this as a resource. Be more than happy to, as scenarios come up and as you're coming across any barriers that a loved one or yourself are having, please definitely use us as a resource. We have many other items that I didn't even touch on today and many other benefits to products we kind of talked about today that there are many other benefits of. So please don't hesitate. We love questions and we love hearing from all of you. So be more than happy to help at any point in time. So otherwise, please get out, enjoy the beautiful day. It sounds like maybe our last day of good weather. So I want to thank you for all of your time. Jennifer, is there any last things?
There's one more question. They asked if there's a website with all the devices and services.
There is not we don't have a website where you can go to like purchase items because we don't sell anything. And there's not really a website specifically for our center in a way. But Kelvin,
yeah, I'll intervene. So there's a website that the independent living centers try to utilize with inventory for the equipment. It isn't necessarily up to date. So I think generally you're going to be better off contacting staff. Just because we've got a lot of equipment that might not be on there depending on what the funding source is. And there's some equipment that doesn't get returned, that we don't get removed. So you're best to contact our center, and then we can utilize that as one of our tools, and then also get in touch with the other centers in the state. If it's not something that we have, we can try to track it down and get it from elsewhere, or use some of the funding that we've got to purchase it if it would make sense to have in our inventory as well.
Any other questions?
It's great. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Enjoy the beautiful day. Hope to hear from any of you if you have questions in the future. Otherwise, happy holidays to you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.